Hello everybody and welcome to another documentary. In this video, we are going to talk about the civil rights movement in the United States of America. Stay tuned for more information.
Slavery had been practiced in the USA until its abolition during Civil War from 1861 to 1865, but regrettably, racism and discrimination continued. In 1868, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution gave blacks equal protection under the law. In 1870, the 15th Amendment granted blacks the right to vote, which caused unconformity between whites, especially those from the South. Jim Crow laws were established there. They stated that blacks couldn't use the same public facilities, live in many of the same towns, or go to the same schools as whites. Interracial marriage was illegal, and even if blacks had the right to vote, they were unable to pass voter literacy tests. At the beginning of World War II, and after blacks' demands for equal employment rights, President Roosevelt issued an order in 1941 to offer government jobs to all Americans, regardless of color, religion, or origin. However, despite serving in World War II, many blacks suffered discrimination upon returning home. Because of that, President Harry Truman issued another order in 1948 to end discrimination in the military. In 1955, buses in Montgomery, Alabama had designated seats at the back for black people. On December 1st of that year, a 42-year-old woman named Rosa Parks took a bus and seated at the back. When a white man entered the bus and couldn't find a seat at the front, the driver asked Rosa and other 3 blacks to give up their seats. She refused and was arrested. She became the mother of the modern-day civil rights movement.
Later, black community leaders formed the Montgomery Improvement Association, MIA, led by Martin Luther King, Jr. Parks incited MIA to stage a boycott that lasted 381 days, which finally provoked that in 1956 the segregated seating rule were abolished. It was signed on September 9, 1957 by President Eisenhower that allowed federal prosecution of anyone who tried to prevent someone from voting.
It took place on August 28, 1963 and joined 200,000 people, black and white, in Washington, D.C. to ask for equal civil rights, and presented Martin Luther King's speech in which he continually stated, "I have a dream." It was signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson on July 3, 1964, and guaranteed equal employment for all, limited the use of voter literacy tests, and ensured public facilities were integrated.
It took place on March 7, 1965 in Alabama, when 600 peaceful protesters were beaten by the police and many were hospitalized. It was signed by President Johnson on August 6, 1965, which finally banned all voter literacy tests.
On April 4, 1968, Martin Luther King, Jr. was assassinated on his hotel room's balcony, putting more pressure to the civil rights movement.
It was the last legislation promulgated during the civil rights era. On April 11, 1968, it prevented housing discrimination based on race, sex, national origin, and religion.